What's going on, everyone? My name is Jason Vincent, and I am a wedding and documentary photographer based out of Northwest Arkansas. And today we're going to be starting a new series called Technically Creative. In this series, we'll walk through some of our favorite images and explain the thought process that went into them. The idea is to show some key concepts that helped achieve the end result, whether that be from technique, lighting, or even post-production. Here is a quick preview of some of the images we'll be talking about today. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is touch on some background for this shoot. These images are taken during a photo walk that I'm teaching at WPPI in Las Vegas. WPPI is a wedding and portrait photography conference that's held every year in Las Vegas. But because this is a photo walk, we're pretty limited on the areas that we can actually take photos. And while these shoots have a crowd of students around them, I actually treat each of my photo walks the exact same as just a regular session, which means I don't have any sort of plan. I didn't want to do any sort of like location scouting or get an idea of the images I wanted to create beforehand. All I had was a general idea of the location that I wanted to start at. And I do this because I prefer to be inspired by the light and location in the moment. But maybe that's a topic for another video. As for gear, I'm using the Sony A9 paired with either the Sony 24mm f1.4 G Master lens or the Sony 35mm f1.4 CZ lens. For lighting, I'm using the Elinchrom FIVE attached to a C8 automatic light stand from Cheetah Stand. And in most of the images, the light is also attached to a full CTO gel from Magma. The reason that I love this light setup is that the Elinchrom FIVE is pretty powerful, coming in at 522 watt seconds. So this gives me enough power to combat that desert sun while still being easy to carry around. Paired with the Cheetah Stand, it was also easy to pick up and move locations without a ton of setup time or teardown time. Also, for being a powerful light, the Elinchrom FIVE is pretty lightweight and can handle 450 full power pops on a single charge, so I knew it would last me the various shoots that I had throughout the day. So with that said, let's get into the actual session. For the first image, I really loved this wall of greenery, but the problem is that it was all in shade, and while soft light can be very pretty and easy to manage, I prefer my light to have a bit of interest. So I placed the Elinchrom FIVE behind the bride with the full CTO gel attached, and I pointed it away from the wall, so it's pointed towards the camera. The idea here is that the light's going to be doing a lot of work. First, it will be rim lighting the bride, helping her pop off the background. Second, the light will also bounce off of her white dress to simultaneously light up the background. And lastly, I had her pose with her hand up and slightly in front of her face, which acts as a small reflector for the light so that some of that backlighting can then bounce off of her hand and fill in the shadows on her face. So really, this single light is doing three different things. It's rim lighting the bride, lighting the background, as well as lighting her face. For the next image, I used the exact same wall. It's the exact same composition, but this time I brought my light around to directly light the bride. For the modifier, I used an Elinchrom reflector with a grid combo. I placed the light slightly behind the bride and then made sure that she was posed in a way that the light could see her eye that was closest to the camera. This setup gives me a nice dramatic light on her, and the grid makes sure that that light doesn't spill onto the background. Then in post-production, I cranked up the contrast on only the background in order to make the leaves really pop. Now, for the last image, I moved over to another area where there was a similar green wall, but this time there were two large bushes in front of that wall that I could use to frame the bride between. The idea here at first was to try and recreate some sunset style flare. The problem is that the light stand I brought wasn't tall enough to get the look that I was going for. This made it really hard to sell the idea since the sun appears to be shining through the wall, which obviously isn't realistic. I can try and hide this a bit by putting the flare right at the edge of the frame, but even still, I wasn't super thrilled with the end result. But I did really like the rim light effect it gave on the leaves. So I pulled the light down and hid it behind the bride. This gave the leaves a bit more glow as well as making the frame more symmetrical. I like this version the best, but here's a natural light version as well, just for reference. But what do you think? Do you like the flare version, the backlight version, or the natural light version best? Let me know in the comments. Lastly, here's a look at some of the other images I took during this photo walk. If you're interested in seeing details on how any of these images were taken, or if you'd like to see a walkthrough step-by-step of how all the images in this video were edited, you can find those details over on my Patreon. Or if there's enough interest shared in the comments below, I can publish a video for the entire process here on Sharpen. So make sure to hit that subscribe button, push the little bell button so that you don't miss any of the videos. And until the next time, I'll catch you on the next one.